Good morning, everyone. Before we get into this morning's update, I'd like to go over a quick overview of what is transpiring on this Monday morning. As we know, the futures market is back open, and right now Bitcoin is down about 1,100 points. We talked about this morning how we had the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME gap, that was at 95,000, or what was it, 95,200. So we figured at least on the open, we would open somewhere around there. And now, as we can see, we look to be coming down to the support structure. We've got an uptrend support right around 92,263. But as I've talked about, we have these ascending broadening wedges, which are like rising broadening wedges, which are not bullish continuations. These, if they're typically bearish consolidations. And for Bitcoin, if this rising broadening wedge breaks down, you're looking at a target of 82,000. I think that's pretty on point if this were to break down. Are we going to have a Christmas rally? Well, according to the technicals, it's looking a little bleak. We have this death cross here in the 2 hourly. We got rejected at 96,199. We've gotten the 4 hourly, a death cross pending. It's about to break through. We don't know if there's going to be some upward manipulation, but it certainly looks like, with a rising broadening wedge, that we definitely need to be careful here this morning. Ethereum's definitely looking the same way with this rising broadening wedge. Doesn't mean it plays out that way. It doesn't mean it has to. But I definitely see an area where we could create a massive inverse head and shoulders on Ethereum if it were to come down to about 2,880. But that would also mean that we have to break that rising broadening wedge. And then it could turn into something a little bit more interesting as we go along. You could say it's like that, but I think Bitcoin's more the rising broadening wedge. You could say it with Ethereum too, but I definitely see a setup here for Ethereum where it could come down to 2,800 and create a beautiful inverse right shoulder. You can already see the left shoulder head, the inverted left shoulder, inverted head, and inverted right shoulder trying to form. But that still doesn't make me feel any better for the fact that we have this rising broadening wedge, or ascending broadening wedge in Bitcoin, which again, you could match it with Ethereum. And then with XRP, we haven't made that lower low yet. But I have speculated with XRP, what if this pennant flag is kind of just like a fake illusion here? Like we got resistance, support. What if it busts down? You know, and we're going to play both scenarios here. But there is one scenario that I could certainly see where it comes up, and this is a left shoulder, inverted left shoulder, comes down to like a head, comes back up and bounces out. Even if it's trying to show the illusion of being bearish, but remember, that could bring you as low as like, well, technically the drop down out of this pennant flag would be like 92 cents. But I could see the optics here where it could come down to like $1.30, $1.45, $1.50 and create an inverse head and then pull right back up. But you don't want to be teetering down that road. I'm just saying, we don't want to go down that road. If we go down that road, it's going to be a little dangerous. This morning, Bitcoin tried to give it a little oomph, but that's just market manipulation overnight. And you kind of got to go with what you see in front of you. So the fact I see a rising broadening wedge should bring us down to 82,000 if this fails. So just be prepared. Be prepared for 82,000 in Bitcoin if this breaks down. And where does that put XRP if Bitcoin drops 13,000 points? My suggestion would be to get on BITUNIX. And it's in the video description below and our pinned comments or on my homepage. Get your money situated before the drop happens, if and when it does. So then you're prepared. You don't have to scramble. If whether you're looking to continue adding to positions or you're trying to open for the first time, you've got your exchange situated before the time comes. But this looks like a rising broadening wedge, and these are not very bullish. So it doesn't mean that it has to break down, but in this scenario, I'd give it about a 68 to 70% chance of coming down to 82,000. Maybe 83,300 for Bitcoin, but that's where we sit right now. The only way to reverse this is to make this the uptrending support. Don't lose this broadening wedge, the rising broadening wedge, and make sure you maintain at 92,400, and then try to retake that very pivotal level at 96,199, which we failed to do today. We tried. We came up there and got absolutely hammered. So if you're asking me, it's not looking so hot here. It's just not looking so good right now. I'm not a big fan of rising broadening wedges at all. So we'll have to watch that. We'll have to see how that develops. We talked yesterday and the day before. I came on live and we talked about, for Bitcoin, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, we had a CME gap at 95,200. So this morning it had to be around that area. And it was right around that area when I first woke up. And now it's dropped almost 1,500 points or 1.5%. But by no means am I saying that this is a 100% done deal. But what I am saying is I didn't get very outspoken yesterday for no reason about the impending proposition here with Bitcoin. So that's something we really need to pay attention to here this morning. So we'll continue to watch this, but this does look like a rising broadening wedge. But let me do the intro real quickly here, and then we'll get on with this. Good morning. 10:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, December 23rd, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So this is the time where we can't let our emotions dictate what we're looking at here. We have to pay attention to this for what it is. And I don't want to be this bearish person, and have this overset the day before Christmas Eve. But we got to face the facts here. Right now, we've got 3 hits on resistance on the rising broadening wedge. We've got 2 confirmed taps on the support structure. You could put it up here and say, oh, we had 2 hits there. 1 came overzealously, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather have it set like this because that's our evidence in front of us, because you could have went like this before and it would have busted down. So you really have to do your due diligence and say, okay, if this is a rising broadening wedge, we got that support structure, but, it's not exactly, I don't know. Because even with this, you have this falling channel with Ethereum Classic, which to me seems like it wants to come down to 21 bucks. I'm not liking what I'm seeing this morning, is all I'm saying. So the optics are showing us more of a bearish proposition here than a bullish proposition. And that's, this could get very interesting very quickly here. And, it's not because I want this to happen, but when you start to see these optics, you can certainly see Bitcoin right now. It's interesting. It is a very interesting moment for Bitcoin. It's a very interesting moment for crypto, because if it does follow the Bitcoin pattern, that rejection at 96,199 is devastating. Absolutely devastating. And I'm not saying to leverage the market. I'm not saying to long the market. I'm simply saying from a spot perspective right now, you've got to pay attention. We've all got to pay attention right now. And it's not because, I'm being overly bearish or overly bullish. It's just what we're seeing in front of us right now is probably not great. And I'm hoping that we get a reversal here this morning, and it doesn't have to pull this off. But, if you're being honest with yourself, this is not looking great. We broke that rising channel. And now we've created this rising broadening wedge, and these are typically bearish consolidations. It is what it is. We don't have to lie to ourselves, and I'm certainly not going to lie to the audience, but that is what it's looking like right now. And right now, Bitcoin's at 93,700 approximately. I would say in order to invalidate this thesis, we just need we need a Christmas rally, folks. That's what we need. We need a Christmas rally. We need the 200 days to hold on the daily. So on Ethereum Classic, it's 24.46. On Ethereum, Ethereum, we're coming close to this area where we really need to hold this uptrend. We're getting very close if you're looking at it in a broadening wedge perspective at 3,059. I don't know. I don't know. This looks kind of ominous right now. There is nothing I'm seeing here that says, hey, this is the likely spot for a bounce back. In fact, it's even more showing that, hey, we're probably going to continue down, but we have to at least understand if we can hold this area. But man, these dot crosses are alarming. Dot crosses. We got so much stuff that, man, it's making it very difficult here. Feels like they're going to just drop the market here today. Be careful. Be very, very careful this morning. This is actually a shame, because we talked about it yesterday, how it looked like we could possibly be playing towards a Christmas dump. And I mean, I'm not necessarily liking the way it's looking at this exact moment. But what do we always say? When things are looking bleak, when everybody's getting bearish, you know, there might be an opportunity. So let's not overanalyze this, but let's be honest with ourselves that there is a death cross. We have a rising broadening wedge, and we're getting to the point of the rising broadening wedge where we probably would come through, and then we jump down to that 83,000 area. That's what I'm targeting. 82, I think 82,000 is where I was at. If it breaks down, let's see, we'll get the proper measurement. But as of right now, you have to look at this and be realistic with yourself. You can't just act like this isn't happening. So what we're going to come from, and we'll look more into XRP, but this is something we definitely have to discuss at length here. I tried to yesterday. Some people were a little upset in the live, but, you know, it is what it is. I had to be honest. And I'm going to be honest with everybody, because if I can see something that's possibly a big reversal that could happen, we got to talk about it. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to come all the way down here. I really don't. It could, because, let's face it. Let me be honest. There's a gap right now of FVG between 70 and 80. It's like 70,000 and 85,000, or 72. I think it's between 70 and 83,000, somewhere, or 85,000. So technically, I don't think there's any way to really avoid that drop to 75,000. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope this just reverses up very quickly and we can just get on with it. I do. But I have to be realistic when I'm looking at a rising broadening wedge and just say, hey, the optics here are, we come down to that fair value gap at some point, unless we can reverse this in a very quick fashion. Everything I'm seeing this morning is kind of leaning more towards the bearish sign. We've got that death cross in the 3-hourly rejected at not just the 200, but actually the 20-day as well. In the 4-hourly, we got rejected at the 200-day on the last 4-hour candle. Death cross, if we come down for 2 more 4-hour candles, it'll guarantee a death cross in the 4-hourly. The daily time frame for Bitcoin, we seem to be coming towards this broadening wedge uptrend, but I'm saying this as honest as I can. We got rejected in the daily on the 20-day. We got rejected on the rising channel. We're below a very critical pivot point at 96,200. The only thing that's even holding Bitcoin up is that 91,780 area. Once that breaks, it's not pretty. And I'm just trying to be honest with everybody so that you don't get blindsided here. So in the comments, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm off base. But like I said yesterday, it doesn't look like we're going to get a Christmas rally. It looks like the opposite. And I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't appear that I am. At least at this juncture, it's not looking any better than yesterday. It's actually looking quite bleak. And when we were on the daily candle yesterday, we talked about how that was a bearish candle for XRP. Then yesterday ended up playing, you know, it tried, but it couldn't get any steam. We created a newer low. Today we've already created a new low in the daily. It just doesn't feel right. This just doesn't feel right today. And I would not be surprised to see XRP end up playing out in the exact fashion that I talked about yesterday and the day before, and try to create some kind of weird inverse head and shoulders, not like you see right there, where it actually falls out of this pennant flag, and this is more of a fake out. And like I said yesterday, yeah, if we break out, it's fantastic, the $3.59, but if we create a lower low and we break that $1.98, it's signaling for a technical target down to 97 cents. Who wants to see that? Who wants to see that? So we've got to be very, very honest when a pattern hits this point. And I'll be damned if I sugarcoat it. So I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I hope that this hits home. I hope that you don't start calling me the bearish bitch again, or whatever everybody used to call me back in the past. But I was called it a lot when we were in the 2-year consolidation. The most bearish guy on YouTube. And that's not true. It's just, I'm not going to lie, when I get into a pattern, I very plainly said, you know, we're not meeting expectations here to hold up. And it's not our fault. We have a fair value gap on Bitcoin between, it can go anywhere between 70 and 85,000, which is ridiculous. But that's where that fair value gap is. We knew this morning that Chicago Mercantile Exchange had a CME gap when it closed on Friday at 95,200. So when Bitcoin was at 97, 98,000 this week, and I said, it's got to open somewhere below 95,200. It has no choice. That's where that gap was at. And once it goes below it, that's where the problem starts. Like, I would not be surprised right now how Ethereum was up 2% when I woke up, and now it's down. I would not be surprised if Ethereum, sometime today, we find ourselves just falling out if this is for real. And we're going to know very quickly here this morning. But if it's for real, we could find ourselves falling out very quickly. I hope this doesn't happen. From a spot perspective, I would love to see a big move on Christmas. Just a big move on Christmas. And if we have a big move on Christmas, maybe we would need to dump today. I don't know. But for however this has to happen, we're going to put the positive energy out here that this is going to somehow not break down out of a broadening or a rising broadening wedge. And that this is going to hold on Bitcoin. And we're going to look at XRP and say, you know, I know it's bearish the last few days in the daily time frames. Overall, it's been a little bit bearish. But right now, at least the pennant flag is still intact, and we've not created a lower low. I have a sneaky suspicion, though, if Bitcoin breaks out of that broadening wedge to the downside, the rising broadening wedge, that we're going to find XRP somewhere, and it's going to be a doozy. We're going to find ourselves in some predicament here in the short term. So, you know, I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not telling you to sell. I am not a financial advisor. What I am telling you, though, is if I am nervous here a little bit, like I said yesterday, and look how we've come down since yesterday, if I feel some kind of way on this setup, I've got to at least pay attention to it until it invalidates the structure. In order for Bitcoin to invalidate what I'm thinking right now, it would have to come all the way back up and invalidate that 102,000 at the channel. But first layer, at least get past 96,200 at the very least. So my advice, sit back, relax, kick your feet up if you're not in a position, because this is not the time to take a shot. I mean, you could, but you are legitimately in no man's land today. So what I would suggest, get it right on the exchanges. Try to figure out what you're going to do on the drop, if there is one, or how you're going to continue to build your bag if it goes in your favor. So BITUNIX is my most preferred. They have the lowest maker-taker fee. If you want to short Bitcoin, do it at a 1x perspective if you're going to do it. But you can certainly take that shot. If you want to long it, obviously pay attention to the pattern in front of you. But you can buy a slew of things, including XRP and so many more. Leverage or spot, the lowest maker-taker fee. So that's my number one. Then you have HOTCOIN, which I love because they have no VPN or KYC as well as BITUNIX. But they have XDC. They have VELO. They have ESE. They also have IOTA. So, I mean, we've got a lot of things on there that we can buy that, and the USA is very difficult. So take advantage of that. Crypto.com. I think more people should take advantage of their crypto debit card. You get $25,000 you can sell out of crypto or transfer over from Tether or USDC. And then it becomes a prepaid card and you can spend it wherever you want. Start using your crypto profits instead of your bank account. You know, if you're sick of sending back and forth between the bank and crypto, there's a way around it. So just pay attention to that. PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo if you want to send a donation. But obviously, in the time of consolidation, I'd prefer for you to not send a donation and actually buy these bottoms. And then you can always send a bigger donation later if you make some money. Members of Tom's Army, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I encourage you to join Tom's Army if you'd like to pay it forward. Instead of sending a YouTube super chat, honestly. Get that emoji badge and some of the other perks. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal outside of YouTube. But other than that, this is what I'm looking at this morning. I didn't want to wake up today and say, oh, this is how I feel. You know, but I'm also very honest when I talk about the technicals. But now let's see. How can Bitcoin reverse this? What the heck? Well, that was interesting. That's the first time I've ever seen that message. How do we change this narrative? Well, right now you can see in the daily it's not looking so hot. But how do we change this? We got to come up over 96,200. 96,200. So that's what we have to do. So pay attention here because this could get interesting this morning. I hope it gets hot to the top side. I'm going to be honest. I really hope it gets hot. I really hope this gets hot in a big way. And I hope this is kind of just optics here. And I hope we stay in the pennant flag. So that's what I'm hoping this morning. I'm hoping for a Christmas miracle. How about that? Who wants a Christmas miracle? Let me know in the comments. If you think Bitcoin's going to end up breaking down out of this rising broadening wedge, or if you think this is going to break out and we're going to have a Merry Christmas, or do you think they're about to drop the hammer on us right before Christmas? That's what I want to know. Have a blessed morning, everybody.